All right, the confirmation process for President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet picks kicked off yesterday with the Senate Armed Services Committee holding a hearing for one of the most controversial choices, Defense Secretary pick Pete Hegseth. Hegseth, a combat veteran and former Fox News host with little experience in leadership, pitched himself as the much-needed change at the Pentagon and brushed off the numerous controversies surrounding him.
Now, it is true and has been acknowledged that I don't have a similar biography to defense secretaries of the last 30 years. But as President Trump also told me, we've repeatedly placed people atop the Pentagon with supposedly the right credentials, whether they are retired generals, academics, or defense contractor executives. And where has it gotten us? He believes, and I humbly agree, that it's time to give someone with dust on his boots the helm, a change agent, someone with no vested interest in certain companies or specific programs or approved narratives. My only special interest is the warfighter.
You know, there's so much that was said yesterday. It would literally take us 4 hours just to get through the misinformation that was put out there. But there's just some things that we just have to stop before we even go any further and talk through the fact that when somebody asks the question, where has it gotten us? Anybody that knows anything about the United States military, anybody that knows anything about today's United States military and our armed forces and the men and women that serve proudly will tell you America's military is more powerful relative to the rest of the world than any time, certainly in the last 25 years, and perhaps since the post-war world. The fearsome ability of the United States military to extend power across the globe, unparalleled. And where has it gotten us? With a NATO that is stronger and more powerful than ever before. We have helped Ukraine wreck the second most powerful military in the world without losing a single American sailor or soldier or Marine or airman. And in Asia, China, more hemmed in today than ever before because what we've done in Guam, what we've done in the Philippines, what we've done with Japan and South Korea becoming allies, what we've been doing with Australia, helping them build a nuclear navy. I could go on, but this idea, Republicans, that we need somebody with dust on their boots in this position, and the suggestion that we haven't had people with dust on their boots in this position is either willfully lying or willfully ignorant. We have had actually some of the most decorated, heroic, brave, battle-tested men that have been holding the top positions over the past 4 to 8 years in the military, and yes, women as well that have been there. So the idea that this is some feel-good exercise ignores the fact that whether from Mad Dog Mattis to General Milley, you have people that have been fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, were there at the worst times in Fallujah, and it's just an insult. Just an absolute. And again, there's so much to talk about here.
Yeah.
But we've just got to go full stop because I'm sick and tired of people tearing down the men and women in uniform that are protecting us. And I'm sick and tired. You know, if people want to lie about the economy, they can lie about the economy.
Well,
I don't take that as personally. I mean, because that's their own problem because they're going to be judged by how they do compared to the United States economy right now, which is the envy of the world. We have record low jobless rates. The stock market's at record highs. I mean, they'll have to deal with that. But this insult that somehow our military is weak and woke is just an outrageous lie, and it's an insult to our men and women in uniform. I want to bring in right now General Barry McCaffrey. You talk about American heroes. He's had a little dust on his boots through the years, and sir, we thank you. We thank you for your service to this country. Thank you also for getting up very early this morning on the West Coast.
Oh my!
I want you to give me your general feelings about what you saw yesterday. But first, let's blow apart this lie that our military is weak and woke and not the strongest in the world by far. First, could we do that, sir?
Boy, that was such a terrific opening statement on your part. You know, this magnificent armed forces, active Guard Reserve, 2.1 million men and women in uniform. By the way, 1,000 some odd killed and wounded among women fighting in the war on terror. 60,000 some odd casualties in total. Enormously complex, globally deployed. The U.S. Navy's fighting actively day in and day out, trying to keep sea lanes open in the Middle East. It is astonishing. The courage, the devotion to duty that we see among the active duty. And by the way, everybody goes back to Afghanistan, the disgrace of the withdrawal. Mr. Trump ran for presidency and said he was going to get us out of Afghanistan. And he handed Biden, who ran for office to get out of Afghanistan, a situation with 2,500 troops on the ground. We pulled out over 100,000 screaming civilians in a miracle operation that could have been the French defeat at Dien Bien Phu because we put 7 elite battalions on the ground and intimidated the Taliban, who had been 7,000 of whom had been released by Mr. Trump. So there's a lot of nonsense floating around. But look, the hearing yesterday, divisive, partisan, in some ways an unqualified candidate. He did remarkably well. He's articulate, he's smart, he's a decorated combat veteran, he's a Princeton grad, he's quick on his feet, he's going to get confirmed. Senator Jack Reed, my friend, said it all in his opening statement: behavioral problems, alcohol abuse, lack of experience, his statements on the role of women in the armed forces. So we're in a period, though, where we got to remind ourselves the real problem is Mr. Trump suggesting we might invade Greenland, we might seize the Panama Canal, we might use military power against drug cartels in Mexico, we might coerce Canada into being the 51st state. This is comical stuff. That's going to be the challenge, less so Mr. Hegseth.
Well, here are some of the key lines of questioning from of Hegseth from Democrats in yesterday's hearing. Take a listen.
I do not believe that you are qualified to meet the overwhelming demands of this job. We must acknowledge the concerning public reports against you. A variety of sources, including your own writings, implicate you with disregarding the laws of war, financial mismanagement, racist and sexist remarks about men and women in uniform, alcohol abuse, sexual assault, sexual harassment, and other troubling issues. I have reviewed many of these allegations and find them extremely alarming. Indeed, the totality of your own writings and alleged conduct would disqualify any service member from holding any leadership position in the military, much less being confirmed as the Secretary of Defense.
An event in North Carolina, drunk in front of 3 young female staff members after you had instituted a no alcohol policy and then reversed it. True or false?
Anonymous smears.
December of 2014 at the CVA Christmas party at the Grand Hyatt at Washington, D.C., you were noticeably intoxicated and had to be carried up to your room. Is that true or false?
Anonymous smears.
Another time, a CVA staffer stated that you passed out in the back of a party bus. Is that true or false?
anonymous smears.
I'm going to leave with concerns about your transparency. You say you've had personal issues in your past, yet when asked about those very issues, you blame an anonymous smear campaign, even when many of these claims are not anonymous. Which is it? Have you overcome personal issues, or are you the target of a smear campaign? It can't be both.
Senator, I sit here before you an open book, as everyone who's watched this process.
With multiple non-disclosure and confidentiality agreements tying the hands of many people who would like to comment to us. Many of your work colleagues have said that you show up for work under the influence of alcohol or drunk. I know you've denied that, but you would agree with me, right, that if that was the case, that would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense.
Senator, those are all anonymous false claims, and the totality
they're not anonymous.
The letters on the record here.
They're not anonymous.
On the record,
we've seen records with names attached to them. One of your colleagues said that you got drunk at an event at a bar and chanted, "Kill all Muslims." Another colleague, not anonymous, we have this, said that you took coworkers to a strip club. You were drunk, you tried to dance with strippers, you had to be held off the stage, and one of your employees in that event filed a sexual harassment charge as a result of it. Now, I know you denied these things, but isn't that the kind of behavior that, if true, would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense?
Senator, anonymous false charges.
They're not anonymous. And I'll just conclude and say this to the chairman. You claim that this was all anonymous. We have seen records with names attached to all of these, including the name of your own mother. So don't make this into some anonymous press thing. We have seen multiple names of colleagues consistently throughout your career that have talked about your abusive actions.
Senator Tim Kaine pressing there on Pete Hegseth. Despite everything we heard over those several hours yesterday, following that hearing, Hegseth did pick up the support of Republican Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa, significant for a number of reasons, because she's a combat veteran, distinguished career in the military, also a survivor of sexual assault, who is seen as one of the most likely Republicans who could potentially vote against him.